This conference will now be recorded.
All right, I'm going to show my main screen here. This is the week 3. All right, Joseph, welcome. This is the week 3 midweek critique. So I'm looking at the discussions from 2 sections. So if your teacher is me, Peter Olson, then I'll be doing the section 1. You're in section 1. I'll be doing that first. If your teacher is Matt Penna, that's section 2, and I'll be doing that second. So you can go through the video and find your work. Welcome, Joseph. Since you're here, we're going to jump to your work first. Is it in the discussion, perhaps?
Yes, sir. It's I think it's second or third one.
All right, let's see. What was your product?
Brainiac.
Oh, yes, I enjoyed this one. Okay, so Brainiac Coffee. I love the way your logo came out. Your assigned color was the green color, I believe.
I don't know why it's the one that you're pointing at right now. I don't know why the Brainiac text and the light bulb came out differently. I used the exact PMS color, so
Yes, the difference is RGB versus CMYK.
that's it.
So check that file and see. It looks much more correct down here. So the assignment this week to create a color palette and to create sort of branded identity package. I think you've done a good job from a design standpoint, setting up this identity package. It looks branded. It looks like it all belongs to the same product. Couple little things. The letterhead needs to have a return address. It doesn't look like a real letterhead. So take a look at that again. You want to add a sort of real letter with a salutation and all that. This address here is really big and dominant. Probably wouldn't be in red. Just make it look like a regular letter. I think all your design elements are working really well. The one thing I would say in the typography of the business card is there could be a little more hierarchy. In other words, the name and title are typically larger and set off somehow, and the rest of the information could be smaller. So a couple of little nuances, and I think you'd be in good shape. I didn't see your full color palette, so just make sure you've spec'd out a full 5 colors, because I see you're using 2 really well. But I want you to have 5 because ultimately you're going to do a package design. You probably use all 5.
Yeah, I had some questions about that specifically. I didn't know for this discussion board post if I was supposed to post all the palette stuff. I posted it with just the 2-color option here because of the simplicity of the actual logo itself. I thought it looked better with just the 2 colors. But
Yes.
I do have options within Illustrator for at least 5 colors, so that'll
Okay.
definitely be done for my packaging.
So what I would say is you're using the 2 color really effectively in this identity package. There's no need to introduce more colors just for the sake of introducing them. If you felt like there was another option where you wanted to add color, that's great. But when you do your color palette, you just definitely have to have 5 colors in the palette, and hopefully you'll use all those in your package design when you get there. Does that make sense?
Yep, I definitely will.
All right, great. All right, we're going to move on to go up to the top here. Cactus Cookies, Bryce. Bryce, right away my eye goes this little glitch right here, but it looks like you fixed it in later versions. So it's still there, but it's not in these other ones. Bryce, I'm getting the impression that you didn't really understand the assignment here because you've explored a lot of color options with your logo, but you have yet to show the identity package as we just looked at with Joseph's work. So you need to do that. Also, you're getting lost in the weeds here with this logo, like adding patterns and stuff like that. It's not necessary. I think you have it pretty good when it's just simple. So keep it that way. This exploratory is just an exploratory. It's just that. So it looks like you've got a 5-color palette here. Make sure you're using your presentation template, putting all this stuff together, and completing your identity package. There's your Pantone numbers. So 5 colors. So I look forward to seeing how you did your identity package, business card, letterhead, envelope. And and picking one logo that you're going to use over and over again in all your elements. So, all right, next up we got Timothy. Timothy, Salty Dog. This is looking really good. A little more elements of design perhaps on your letterhead. Your logo looks great. The hierarchy's good with the logo, but I would love to see some additional elements, like maybe there's the shape of water down here perhaps or something. There could be patterns or other things that you could use. This is sort of neatly designed, but it's kind of a little bit stark is what I would say. This back flap is that default gray. You don't want that. You want to use a color, perhaps, maybe your signature color. So see what you can do to sort of enhance this a little more. As I've said earlier, make sure you've got 5 colors going. You know, you could add a color in here, like a very light yellow, like a tint almost of just yellow, perhaps, on the dog. Give them a little furry look. It's up to you, but definitely make sure you've got 5 colors. You don't have to use them all the time, but that's kind of the goal of the assignment. So, Joseph, we did yours. All right, Tanner, Bluebell's Chocolate. All right, so I think your logo ended up in an okay place. I'm not thrilled about the type being wrapped around there because, as you can see, it has to be really big to be legible. And if you have the type outside the icon, it's a little easier to make it legible. You are doing a good job sort of branding your identity package. You have these curved elements kind of make sense with the curved bell shape. You're using the color pretty well. It really looks very, very monochromatic. So I'm hoping that you have 5 colors and that you can make use of them. The pattern looks interesting, but I can't really tell what it is. But you're on your way. And everybody note his letter looks like a real letter. Probably could use a little more margin, but good. And then this is like a stylized sort of blueberry. It's an interesting element, might work. So that's all we got in section 1. Section 2 here, we're going to start with Abigail. Okay, Abigail, you got Café de Provence. So a couple things on this. First of all, your logo, you don't really have a lockup for your logo. You've got the icon of the Eiffel Tower and the type, and they're sort of like used differently in different places, which is not good for consistency. So you want to figure out how that all kind of works and then use it consistently. The other, I'd urged you earlier not to use the Eiffel Tower because it's kind of the opposite of Provence, but the border on here is kind of plain and it's not a great look for this, especially for letterhead. The envelope, you've got some conflict between the mock-up and your design. Your design has a pointed flap, and it's not your fault, but and then this has a square flap, but you probably want to take those lines, those strokes off of the other envelope. And then your color palette is really not a palette at all. You're just using green. There's no other colors. So I'm hoping you've got a 5-color palette and that you can make use of some additional elements. This type is way close to the margin. It looks like it's outlined. It's incredibly illegible and looks very messy. So you really want to fix this. Do regular type, give it a little hierarchy. The name and title should be dominant. The rest of the information can be smaller. So you've got a lot of stuff to do there. Next up, I think we got Thomas. Yeah, Thomas, Thor's Coffee. Thomas, you had the same issue. Your logo there's no lockup, like where's the type? Type and icon together, that's the lockup. So you need to have that. You did the exploratory. You have a pretty good palette with a surprising sort of pink color. These colors seem to vary a bit here. I think that this doesn't look correct to me, this bottom one, because that's your assigned color. All right, so in terms of a lockup, so here's the icon, here's the type. Now, in the hierarchy of this type, your brand name is smaller than your category. which is inverted. So really you want Thor's to be big, coffee could be small, even in a different font. And I wouldn't put strokes on the font. I really think that hurts legibility. It doesn't look really great. So consider that. And again, see your logo's different here than it is here. You've got just the type here, and again, inverted hierarchy. And then letterhead, it's different again. So consistency is key. Think about how you set up your type and icon and stick to it. And all these look really blurry. I hope you need to place the Illustrator file directly into InDesign. Don't do a screenshot or anything. Make sure you're directly placing the AI file in and giving us a PDF of everything when it's done. Okay, so in terms of all the elements, it's really just the logo. That's all the art you're using. So you could use additional elements, patterns, things like that. Lock up your logo, and your color palette looks pretty limited. So I'm kind of wondering how this all plays out, but see what you can do to enhance these pieces a little more. You can draw from other things that you did that didn't end up being a logo, but take a look at that. Next up is, let's see, I think that's it. Karen, okay. I think that's all we've got. If you missed this critique and you really want a one-on-one critique, reach out to me. I'm happy to talk to you about your work at any time. And hopefully you're on your way to getting this identity package wrapped up by Sunday. So you have a little time to get everything together. And then next week is our final week, and we're going to do a package design. I look forward to seeing what you do. Thanks, guys.